Hello, Mrs. Marcel. My name is Kim Anh, and today I would like to deliver my presentation about my assignment 2. My topic is about the dictation in improving English listening ability for the beginner learners. And here is the structure of my presentation today. It will be divided into 8 parts, and I will go each by each now. The first part of my presentation is about the discussion of the problem. First of all, I will introduce the rationale or the reasons why I choose dictation. After years of teaching English for different groups of learners, I have found out that there are numbers of problems that the learners may encounter in listening, and one of the most significant problems is that they normally cannot get over the one stage in the 3-stage listening process that I will show you now. Here is the 3-stage listening process according to the Jackie in 2014. The stage number 1 is the perception, the stage number 2 is the recognition, and the third stage is the comprehension. And in this stage here, the stage number 2, students may find it difficult in converting sounds that they perceive in listening into the linguistic forms. So it follows the difficulty in stage number 3, which they interpret and comprehend the messages of the speakers. Therefore, I am planning to apply the dictation as a solution for the beginner learners, as I think that the dictation will provide them with the basic listening exercises and also prepares them more carefully about the next stage in the listening process, which are the comprehension in the future. Secondly, I think dictation is an innovative because as we can see that innovation is something not really new, up to date. It is totally the thing, it could be something which is totally different from other methods that the learner have experienced before, and the most important thing is that it is suitable for the current situation of the learners and also their conditions. About the benefits, I want to examine the effectiveness of the dictation when I apply the dictation application to my beginner learners, and also the mobility of the dictation application for other groups of learners in larger scale in order to improve their listening performance. Okay, so when it comes to the research question, my research question is what are the responses of beginner learners to the dictation application in their classroom? And the purpose of this question is that I want to examine the positive or the negative responses of my beginner learners to the methods called the dictations. The third part of the presentation is about the literature review, and I will divide into 2 parts. The first one is a literature review about innovation in general, and the second part is the literature review about innovation in my own research, which is a dictation. Okay, so here we go. Come to the first one. The literature review about innovation in general. We are living in the world which is changing rapidly and become more and more globalized, especially in the areas of economy, of technologies, of health, and also the educations. And according to the scholar called Flanagan in 2014, innovation is that we do something with the creativity, social, and also the emotional well-being and development. And other scholars, Colbars in 2014, said that innovation means that we do something, innovation means we solve the identified problems, and he said that it is also the new dimension of education. Secondly, it is the literature review about innovation in my own research, which is a dictation. And as I said before, dictation is something that not really new, not really strange for my students, and we just take advantage of the sources, the current sources, in a more creative way, creative and innovative way. And sharing the same idea, Bridgman in 2017 insists that innovation is actually the way used to improve the learning and also the engagement. So sharing the same opinions and ideas with the scholar above, so I believe that the dictation will help my beginner learners to address their identified problems and also properly achieve the betterment in the listening performance in the future. The fourth part of the presentation is about the research setting and cultural aspects. First of all, it's about the research setting. I am planning to do my research in the Faculty of Tourism in Hanoi Open University, where I have been teaching now with 24 students in class, 3 males and 21 females, and they are all first year students, and they are the beginner levels, and they are all weak at the listening, as I can see from their mark. They are non-English major, and they learn English as a compulsory subject in their curriculum in university. About the cultural aspect related to my research, I will compare an example of a researcher in Japan with my Vietnamese students. According to the Journal Jackie in 2014, Japanese high school students Japanese high school students are accustomed to reading English visually than listening to the sound auditorily. So it means that they commonly read English rather than listen to the sounds. So it shares the same context with the Vietnamese students, in which they learn English as a second language. They are all weak at the listening ability. The reasons for this is that they do not have much opportunity to practice the listening in class, because they are all affected by the examination-oriented culture of the Vietnamese society. So most of their time is spent on mastering the written tasks, for example, the vocabulary, the grammatical structures, and the repeatedly varied exercises in order to pass the exam. So they find it very difficult in listening. However, considering the importance of English as an international language in the future, and also listening and speaking is necessarily for them to survive in the labor market, so it should be seriously paid attention to the listening, and it is the responsible for both the stakeholders and also the researchers to do that. And when it comes to the methodologies, I would like to choose the action research because of its feasibility and also the practicality. It doesn't matter for the researcher is published or not, as long as the practitioner or the researcher may find the appropriate solutions for the identified problems of their learners, and in order to suit the learners' needs and also their interests. And according to the Alasutari in 1998, a practical solution would be given to identify problems in order to change the social practice for the betterment. The qualitative methods that I would use is the interview and also the observation. So first of all, in the interview, I would like to use the semi-structured interview because I think that it benefits both the participants and also the researchers in terms of expressing and also collecting the detailed and also rich opinions and data and ideas. Furthermore, the semi-structure has a variety of follow-up questions, which is a huge source of information for the researcher to investigate and also study. In terms of the observation, so it offers real qualitative data directly by showing the changes of the learners in terms of behaviors, feeling, emotions, reactions, etc. And thanks to this, the researcher can analyze the data subjectively and also effectively. About the data collection and data analysis, so it takes a large amount of time for the researcher to record any potential data and then analyze it and also report with the description of the methodology which would be used and also summary some important findings. There is some consideration when conducting the research, which is the validity and also the reliability. Ethics is also one of the most important things when conducting the research, and in the scope of my research I would like to consider three things. The first one is about the voluntary participation. So first of all, it is make sure that the participant have the voluntary participation in the research, and if they find any harms that if they find any things that harms their right, so they have rights to stop continuing to participate in the research. And the second thing is the anonymity, and the last thing is the informed consent. The informed consent is very important when conducting research because it helps the participants to have a deeper insight into the research and also make some reasonable decision about whether or not they continue to do the research. Okay. We comes to the last part of the presentation today. It is about the conclusion about the benefits of the research, and for the learners, so they may find the weaknesses of their own, and then they can improve their listening performance by applying the methods. And for the researcher and also the practitioner, they may experience and also draw the lessons from it. And last but not least is that they can apply the dictation for the different groups of learners which share the same problems with the groups which is identified in this research. And the last part of the presentation today is the references. The list of references that I have used to support my research. So I think that is all for my presentation today. Thank you for listening.